So be it, Jedi.
What's going on, guys? Back in another video. Finally, after what feels like weeks, we got some interesting news. Now I know we had the announcement of the Iron Man, the Thor, the Dark Knight Returns of Batman and Superman, but if you know me, those things really don't interest me. It's hard to talk about things that I really don't have an attachment to, so here we are. Hot Toys announced Neo from The Matrix Reloaded. As I've mentioned, The Matrix is one of my favorite movie trilogies. Well, more importantly, the first Matrix is one of my favorite movies. And this is Neo from the second film. Hot Toys already did Neo from the first film, I don't know, 6-7 years ago. The figure really doesn't hold up as well today. So, needless to say, collectors have been wanting a new Neo for a long time. But we go back to the same question we always ask when we get a new version or a different version of an iconic character. Is this the definitive Neo? Is this the Neo that you would have for your collection if you're only going to have one? And as much as I really enjoy the character, as much as I, love Keanu Reeves as an actor, the answer for me is no. I have an affinity and an attachment to the first film. Thinking back when I was a kid, that was one of the first movies I watched that has like the deepest cut, nostalgia, that, The Mummy. This is the first film, not the second or the third. And as cool as the fight scenes are in this movie, you got the fight scene of him versus all the clone Agent Smiths, the fight scene in the mansion, Morpheus on the back of that bus. I mean, this movie is action-packed, but if we're talking definitive looks for a character, I don't think this is it. Great looking figure. I mean, I think the head's a little too big, but the likeness looks pretty good. Not really a ton of accessories, but he doesn't really use a whole much. By this point, he's pretty much Superman. He can fly. He doesn't really need any weapons anymore. The outfit and the tailoring looks pretty good. Not really a whole lot bad to say about it. Not sure the price point. It's probably going to be like $275 to $290 on Sideshow. I don't know. Includes one of those backdrops, which, in my opinion, they can just keep that, to themselves and not even include it. They look terrible. Nobody uses them. And other than that, it's a pretty cool figure. It's exciting. But it leads me to the point I'm about to make. If they ever announce a version of a character that, well, you may not have that character or you've been longing for it in your collection, but it's not the definitive look, definitive version of that character, don't buy it. Because either InArt, who has announced that they do have the Matrix license, is going to make Neo from the first film, and I wholly believe that Hot Toys did this in reaction to that, or eventually Hot Toys is going to make a 2.0 of that first movie Neo. If it's not the version of that character that you want, don't buy it, because we live in an age that everything you want is going to happen eventually. And as you well know, Hot Toys' business model, their strategy is to give you something that they know you'll buy because, you don't have that version of the character, you missed out, or it's just, a more modern, newer version of the character. And then in 6 months or a year, boom, here's that version that you really wanted. They've done it time and again. I mean, can't really blame them. If they're a business, they want to make money, they want to sell action figures. But that's just something to keep aware of, that they are going to announce the version that you want eventually, and it's just a matter of being patient. Now, for me, when I saw this go up, I was, finally some news, something to talk about. That really doesn't pertain to me not making any content, consistently the past couple weeks. But, of course, it is hard to talk about new stuff when there isn't any new stuff to talk about. Anyway, when it was first announced, I was like, awesome. This is, one of my favorite characters of all time, one of my favorite movies of all time. But I got to thinking, man, if I pick this up and they announced a new version from the first film, without a doubt, I would be looking at that figure from the second film thinking, is that the one I really want? Do I really want this version of Neo? And when you have those thoughts and that, thought comes into your head, I think that's a pretty good sign that you should probably just wait, because you don't want to sell that figure that you got, because here's how the market's going to work. This figure is going to be announced and sold, etc. It's going to do its normal thing. And if and when InArt or Hot Toys makes a new Neo from the first film, this is going to be the stinky poo-poo figure. This is going to be the one that's selling for less than retail. Nobody wants this version compared to the first film, and you could say that about a lot of characters and a lot of figures. So my advice to you is, like I said, if you don't have the first Neo, and that is your favorite movie, you should probably just wait. But And again, if you are, a diehard Matrix fan and you like all of the movies, even the fourth one, which is abysmal, and Neo's your guy, by all means, this is a pretty good figure. I don't think there's any pleather. I don't think there's anything that's going to rot on you. So probably should stand the test of time. And objectively, the second movie is, fun. It's pretty cool. I don't think you would be, in a bad spot for picking this up. But for me and myself, I don't need multiple Neos. I don't need, every version of that character. So I'm good with waiting. And I think that if InArt does make Neo from the first film, that'll probably be my first InArt figure, all things considered. The same thing could be applied to other legacy characters from movies, such as Ripley from Alien, Terminator. I mean, all of these 80s, 90s movies that you sort of could just put into a group of, miscellaneous from Hot Toys. These things excite me more than anything Marvel, DC. When Rain Carradine from Alien Romulus releases, I'd be willing to bet a substantial amount of money, like $5 or $10, that they announce a new Ripley. Is it going to be a Ripley from the first film? Probably not, because they've done that recently. They're probably going to give you a Ripley from Aliens. People are talking, oh, give us the power loader. I find that hard to believe. That's going to be expensive. And people that want people that want Ripley from the first film, they're going to have to wait a couple years, because they're going to give you Aliens Ripley. Then they're going to wait for that to release, or 6 months thereabout in between. They're going to give you the new Ripley. Probably an artisan version for those that like it. Like I said, they're going to give you something they'll know you buy, not the version you really want, because they want to sell you something twice. And then you always hear people in the comments talking about, oh, we need new Colonial Marines. We need the cast of Predator. I don't think Hot Toys is going to be doing that anymore. I don't think we're going to see, ensemble casts of characters. Of course, we could really do for a Trinity and a Morpheus and Agent Smith. To be honest, I don't see all of those things happening. As per Alien and the Colonial Marines, I don't think that's going to happen either. I don't think they're going to go deep into these lines of these miscellaneous, sort of niche, franchises like they would with Marvel or Star Wars, just because there's not as much of it, and it probably doesn't sell as well as Star Wars or Marvel does. So for all those that are saying, we need new versions of this, I don't think it's going to happen, unfortunately. Anyway, guys, let me know what you think down in the comments below. A little bit of housekeeping. I did get a new phone. I have the iPhone 17 Pro. Hope the camera quality looks better. And I know the audio probably sounds like shit, because I need to get a new microphone. The microphone I was using was compatible with the older iPhones, and I even bought a USB-C adapter that is with the new iPhones, but for some reason it doesn't want to work. So eventually I will be buying a new microphone, but until then I hope the quality sounds, passable. Anyway, guys, let me know what you think down in the comments below. As always, thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, see you on the next one.
I'm sorry, sir. It's time for you to leave.